I was already planning on making a video about immigration, but it just so happens that a tragic event happened in Minneapolis this morning at the recording of this video, which resulted in the killing of a woman named Renee Good. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video regarding my opinion when it comes to immigration. And you can always see what I have to say about it over on my X account, which I was posting quite a bit throughout the day regarding a few things, especially with what happened to Renee Good. So, as a moderate, I do believe in immigration, legal immigration, the path to citizenship. I feel like that right now it's flawed and that it does need to be reworked and improved. But at the same time, I'm completely against amnesty. I think that every country has a right to secure their borders and has a right to decide who they want in their country. So I think that's true for a lot of nations across the world, not just the U.S. So I feel like that illegal immigration needs to be dealt with. And that's why I supported Trump, one of the reasons, early on. Of course, a lot of stuff he started talking about, he didn't even mention during his campaign, or at least maybe I just didn't notice. But I did feel like immigration had become a serious issue during the Biden administration. And a lot of dangerous people had made it across the border. Gang members, cartel, terrorists, foreign agents, along with others that were trying to come here to make a better life for themselves. My hope was with ICE that they would target the more dangerous individuals first. They would put them at the top of the list. The cartels, the gangsters, the foreign agents, extremists, right? I thought that that would be at the top. Priority one, round them up and send them back to their home countries, not to some supermax down in Latin America. I think that was a rather odd decision by Trump, one of many. But I honestly thought that those that were here illegally, that were just coming for a better life for themselves, wouldn't be dealt with for a while. But it seems like they were the easy target for ICE to go after. Now, I'm not saying that everyone that ICE targeted over the past year was, just the workers, the immigrants that came here simply looking for a better life for themselves and their family. Because I think they definitely did round up some criminal elements as well. But I feel like not enough criminal elements, not enough cartel members or gangsters or especially extremists. Because I feel like there's a lot of extremists around the country right now that shouldn't be here. If you're here illegally, then you really shouldn't be here. And like I said, I still do believe in a better, improved path to citizenship. I also think that what is needed for people that come here is some sort of visa program similar to what Canada has, where migrant workers come in to work like 6 months a year. They work 6 months a year, then they go home for 6 months. Maybe we could do something like that as well for individuals that do come here from Mexico, Central America, South America, and other parts of the world that actually come in here to quote unquote work, and at the same time give them an opportunity to earn citizenship in the United States, learn our laws, learn English, and all that stuff. But I do feel like ICE was not properly trained, and I saw numerous examples of that over the past year of them becoming a little too excessive, treating people like garbage and not very humane. Because at the end of the day, these people are still human beings, and I feel like they deserve to be treated like human beings, even if, well, except for the more evil element that has come here illegally. The average person that came here for a better life for themselves, they definitely deserve to be treated like human beings because they were coming from countries that were poor, or they were fleeing countries from dictatorships or regimes or whatever reason they decided to come here for a better life. I believed they deserved, I guess, to be treated a little bit better because most of them, the only law they actually broke was coming here illegally. So I have seen several acts of cruelty by ICE to people like that, and I think that's tragic. And also, don't get me started on Alligator Alcatraz. I mean, that thing flooded so many times and had a lot of issues. I mean, what did they expect to happen? They put it in the middle of a swamp in Florida, and they just built it within, what, a week or two? And just slapped it together, just some sort of big giant tent or a tent city? Of course it was going to rain. Of course there was going to be flooding and other issues. What a shock. But yeah, I do feel like that there needed to be a little bit better training when it came to ICE overall. And I think that seemed pretty apparent today in Minneapolis when you had this woman killed by ICE, Renee Good. And of course, you have both sides debating this. You have most people, I feel like, look at the video evidence and they see it for what it is. I looked at it and I clearly saw a woman that was trying to get away from hostile men that were being very aggressive to her. And they even told her to move. They told her, move, move, move. And so she was trying to move. And then one of them shot and killed her. But the narrative always seems to divide people, even if you have video and photo evidence to prove that a certain thing did actually transpire. So real quick, I'm going to go to my X account and show y'all what I'm talking about. So I did post this. I'm not going to go through everything I posted because I did post the video, which is very tragic. It's very horrific. But I do want to go over this step by step. So here's what I said. This is a step by step regarding the tragic shooting of Renee Good by ICE. In my opinion, Renee never intended to run over or hurt anybody or kill anyone. I don't think she was intending on running over, hurting, or killing the ICE agent in question, by the way, even though some people on the other side disagree with that. But the ICE agent probably assumed in the heat of the moment that Renee was going to run him over, not realizing that she had turned her wheel. So we're going to go over the step-by-step here real quick. Thanks to Chris Vanderveen. I'll link this below in the description section. And, of course, my X account is also below if you want to follow me. Yeah, I posted a few things today. Kind of a, I guess, busy day for me, posting stuff on X. All right, so let's look at this real quick. I'm going to go over the step-by-step. I won't go over it too long. So here's where Chris starts off. And you can go watch the video yourself, make a judgment yourself one way or the other, but try to go in it from an open mind, not on the left, not on the right, but just a woman that happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. So let's talk about this. So he breaks down the step by step. So you can already glean a few things from the shooting. Of course, they had to bleep that because of the algorithm. So here's the first thing that happens. The driver at this point is reversing the wheel and turned to the left. Okay, this is after the truck pulls up, and these guys just jump out of the truck. And she's actually, she waves this SUV to go by first, right? And then she's waving this truck to go by, this ICE truck. And the only way you know it's an ICE truck, I guess, because the lights on the front, it has no sign that says ICE. And then these guys in green uniforms jump out with masks. They're very aggressive to her. Now, I'm not a cop, but I've known enough about law enforcement to where in this situation, when you have a woman like this, right, that's just sitting right there, and yeah, she's blocking the road. Okay, she shouldn't be blocking the road, or maybe she's going to back up. We really don't know what she was going to do here. I mean, I'm guessing all the information will come out, the context later on from both sides. But this guy right here and the others rush up on her. They rush up on her like she's like the most wanted fugitive in the entire country, instead of just calmly walking up to her like a normal police officer would be, trained in civil matters to be friendly and stern and prepared, and also try to de-escalate the situation. Now, if this was a police officer, he would have walked up to her and he would have probably said, "Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing? What's going on here? Why are you blocking the road?" You know, and he would let her talk, and then he'd probably be like, "Okay, could you please move along?" See the difference between a normal police officer just trying to de-escalate the situation, and then these guys just running up on her all aggro-like? Imagine how you would react if these guys just jumped out of this gray truck and all of a sudden ran up on you in masks, and you're just a mom with children, 37 years old, by the way. I mean, of course you'd start freaking out. So she tries to back up. And then she stops. Okay, so right as the driver takes the car reverse, ICE officer appears unhooded front of the car. Hooded officer still has his hands on the door handle because he's aggressively trying to open the door. He doesn't try to be civil with her. He doesn't just calmly walk up to her and talk to her. And yeah, I think the guy in front is the guy that ends up shooting her, I believe. I think that's the case. So she stops, and this guy's just grabbing the door, right? And it's the heat of the moment. She's probably freaking out. So there's also this rule called stay out of the way, which is in place. No longer, okay, let's talk about officer position in front of the car. Now no longer in reverse. Right direction where the driver intends to go. For years, officers have been warned not to position themselves in front of the cars. So this is another example of the lack of training that these ICE agents have. And by the way, I've seen at least one video already of another situation months ago where an ICE SUV just casually, just kind of almost runs over somebody, literally hits a random person. I mean, okay, so is that random person that got hit by ICE? Do they have a right to shoot at ICE? No, but I think the people responsible for hitting that civilian, like the ICE agents or at least the driver in the car, deserves to be punished for that. Maybe they were, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is a bad idea, no matter what, because you have no idea if she's going to run you over or try to veer out of your way. I will give this guy some consideration, not much, but I know he's probably not, telepathic. He probably has no idea if she's going to run over him. He's going to assume she's going to run over him in a moment. Because this all happens in a matter of seconds, by the way. So, yeah, officers are trained to try to stay out of the way of a vehicle like this because, obviously, it's very easy for you to get seriously hurt or killed by a driver. So you definitely don't want to do that. It's common to see in this police manual. Yeah, so, yeah, there's a lot of police departments practice this, not getting directly in front of a vehicle. So he cites an example in Denver. And then let's just move on to this one. Beyond the posting, let's get back to the video. At this point, it all happens very, very quickly, by the way. Very quickly indeed. The car is now moving forward. Okay, so I've seen this in the video, and I watched it several times. The wheel turns to the right, indicating that she's going to try to go around him. And by the way, they'd already yelled orders at her to move, 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 okay? So she's getting conflicting orders from these guys. This guy's aggroing, like, I don't know what the hell his problem is. But once again, they should have been calm with her and try to de-escalate the situation. I mean, that's another reason why they're not cops. And by the way, I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. So the wheel does turn to the right. See how it's turning to the right? So it turns to the right. And let's see, the officer's seen by the leg. So by the leg here. And then, unfortunately, he does shoot her. So here's the evidence of the first shot. Because this guy assumes she's going to run him over. And once again, I'll say this. He's not telepathic. He doesn't know that she's trying to swerve out of the way. But I don't think that she was intending on trying to hurt him or run him over. She was just trying to flee this scene. Especially after they yelled at her, move, move, move. So the first shot, the cloud, position of the officer. You can see the legs. He can now be seen clipped, fleeing the car, but not directly in front of it. At this point, clearly off the side. Audio provides. Yeah, I'm not going to show the video because it's very graphic. You can go watch it yourself and decide on your own opinions. And of course, there were other gunshots to the side. So there's one bullet. I don't know if they're going to show the bullet, but of course, then there's bullshit that was spread by the Department of Homeland Security. So that's where we're going to leave that. And I have this once again posted on my X account, so you can go over there and check it out yourself if you want. But I want to talk about this as well, this posting that I looked up. So even if you're against illegal immigration, by the way, as I mentioned, I am against illegal immigration. The woman was clearly murdered while trying to leave. And whatever happened to critical thinking, I feel like that's been lost. And there's times when something seems obvious that the left tend to ignore for convenience, and the right's just as guilty, or the far left, far right. You get the idea. But furthermore, this woman was a U.S. citizen. And I looked it up. ICE does not have jurisdiction to arrest, detain, or deport U.S. citizens. So, ICE wasn't there for her, So oh yeah, and here's this thing. See, he's clearly walking away. This is after the shooting took place. This is the guy, the alleged shooter, the ICE agent. Now, notice one thing about him. He doesn't appear to be injured, right? No, I mean, he seems fine. He's just going for a casual walk. It doesn't look like he's limping. It doesn't look like anything. He looks normal. He was just looking at his phone. giving orders, walking. But if you go by the narrative from the president, he claims several things. That the agent was ran over. He was not ran over. Pretty obvious. The driver does turn. So not that one. I have another one real quick to show you, because that's when she's backing up. That step by step. Okay, here's the image I found. Okay, the driver's wheel was pointed away from the agents when the first shot was popped. So she was clearly intending on not hitting the agent. So she went that way. So going back up here to my points. All right, so obviously he wasn't ran over because he wasn't injured. If he was injured, then why is he able to walk normally? And I don't know why the president says he went to the hospital. I guess just to get looked at after the incident. But he obviously didn't have to be taken there in an ambulance. He wasn't fighting for his life. Shooting to someone who's trying to leave is not self-defense, clearly. I don't think it was self-defense. The alleged ICE agent is seen walking just fine. I just showed you that. And another thing that really grinded my gears is both the president and before the president, the Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, basically said that this woman, this mother, is a domestic terrorist. She called her a domestic terrorist. It's like, how ridiculous is that? That is absurd, in my opinion. I don't think that the ICE agent intended on killing her. I don't think he got out of that truck saying, you know what, today's the day I'm going to kill a civilian and get away with it. No, I think things escalated, and he assumed that she was going to run him over when she clearly wasn't going to run him over. But I feel like ICE could have handled this way better if they would have been properly trained, which they should have been, to handle citizens a lot better than this. Like a police officer would. You'd walk up to this woman, have a conversation with her, try to de-escalate things, and then get her to move on. That's all you had to do. Instead, they jump out of their truck and they rush her. And of course, she probably starts panicking, right? And at first, they're yelling, move, move, move. And once again, you can go watch the video for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go watch the video for yourself. But obviously, that's caused a lot of backlash. There's been protesting around Minneapolis, New York, Seattle, other parts of the country. I think there was even protesting in Alaska. So a lot of Americans are upset about this, rightfully so. This definitely makes ICE look bad. It makes the administration look bad. It makes Homeland Security and the head of Homeland Security, Noem, look bad. And instead of just being professional and say, let's just look at the facts, there'll be an investigation, and then we'll determine what actually happened. Instead, Noem and Trump outright called this woman, this mother, who's now dead, a domestic terrorist. It's outrageous. I just don't understand at this point how anybody can believe that narrative anymore. Even if you're someone that thinks that ICE is, for the most part, doing a good job, getting illegals out of the country, like this situation is wrong in so many ways. And I'm not even on the left. I'm in the middle. Now, yeah, I do lean left on certain things. I also lean right on other things, right? But to me, it clearly looks like a situation that could have been handled way better if ICE were properly trained to interact with people like human beings and, once again, de-escalate things. And no, I do not think that Renee Good is a domestic terrorist. That is insane for both the head of the DHS and for our president to claim. And also falsely claim that the agent in question was ran over and sent to the hospital. Now, he may have had to go to the hospital for a checkup, but it's obvious he wasn't hurt. And there's other angles out there, and people are like, well, what about this angle? What about that angle? Well, the proof that he wasn't hurt is obvious, him walking back to his vehicle. He doesn't seem like he's limping or he's not holding an arm or anything. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, once again, I was already planning an immigration video, and it was going to be a lot more focused about my opinions regarding immigration. And I still feel the same way. I'm against amnesty. I think there are a lot of bad elements in this country illegally that are not supposed to be here that I should be focused on, not innocent civilians and not, people that are coming here simply just to work. I think there's a solution for that. Some sort of like 6-month visa program or improving our path to citizenship, better assimilation processes. And I do agree with Trump about English. I do think English should be our official language. But there are parts of the country through, Mexican-American history, like Texas, for example, and the rest of the Southwest, which has a huge Hispanic population. And so in these parts of the country, I think it's okay to have two languages, English and Spanish. So I don't see a problem with that either. Plus, one of our territories, Puerto Rico, is also predominantly Spanish. So, but I understand that we should have a primary language. But I think every American should learn English, including the citizens of America, that live in Puerto Rico, because they are, once again, American citizens. I happen to be married to one, and she's fluent in both English and Spanish, by the way. So this is a tragedy what happened to Renee Good. I hope this is a watershed moment, but unfortunately the administration is not treating it that way. They didn't sit back and say, hey, let's just sit back. This was a tragedy. We're going to investigate this, and we're going to, wait till everything comes out until we decide to, knee-jerk reaction it like Trump tends to do. And a lot of other members of his administration, like the head of DHS, Noam. And once again, how could you call this woman a domestic terrorist? It's ridiculous. Who is acting more like terrorists? The guy's rushing up on her car, like trying to rip open her door and yelling at her. Whether or not you agree or disagree with the woman's opinions. Now, some people said that she was like intentionally doing this, or some people say that I don't know what the truth is. Let the truth come out, just like everything else, right? But I really hope that cooler heads prevail. I hope this is not a watershed moment. I know the Governor Walz, look, I don't agree with Governor Walz on a lot of things, but unfortunately it does seem like he's going to have to call out the National Guard. And even if things continue to be peaceful in Minneapolis and other cities, and I really do, because I believe in peaceful protesting. I believe in the First Amendment, just like I believe in the Second Amendment. So I hope that everybody out protesting in memory of Renee Good continue to do so, or try to do so peacefully, because I really don't want this to escalate into something far worse. And there's a very real possibility it could. And some people are saying that Walz is declaring war on the federal government. That's not exactly what he said. That's not what he said. Some people took that out of context. And him calling the Minnesota National Guard to Minneapolis and other cities is to help protect the citizens, right? To maintain order, because something like this can so easily collapse. And this was apparently 4 blocks away from where George Floyd was killed. So that's another event that occurred that people debate about to this day. And for the record, I don't think George Floyd should have been killed. I think that could have been handled a lot better. But I think that most of the police officers should not have been punished for that. The only one that should have been punished was Chauvin. I feel like the others just got, unfortunately, looped into it. And I think that's wrong. And look, the rioting that happened afterwards was also wrong. Like I said, I believe in peaceful protesting. I believe in being civil. In fact, one of the, members of Walz's state government even said, look, you have a right to peacefully protest, but be civil. Do not go into the roads. And, I applaud him for openly saying that, for reminding people you can be civil, but don't go in the roads. Now, was this woman committing a crime by blocking the road? Maybe. I don't know what the situation was. I don't know if she was doing it on purpose, or was it just the wrong place at the wrong time, or was she intentionally setting a trap for ICE to stop them or slow them down? I want that information to come out one way or the other, but whatever the case may be, she did not deserve to be killed over it. They should have just let her go, and if they felt like she was being hostile with them, they had her plates, because they all have body cams, and they could have simply reported, the make, model of the vehicle to the local police, and the local police could have handled it, because that's their jurisdiction. And that was another thing I want to talk about real quick, because she has Missouri plates and she's living in Minnesota. A lot of people have made a big deal about that. Now, 2 years ago, when my better half and I moved from Louisiana to Texas, your plates don't automatically change from one state to the other. It's a process. So for a few months, I still had Louisiana plates, which were still valid, even though I was moving to Texas and living in Texas until I was able to do something about that. And I think she was still relatively new to Minnesota. Now, I could be wrong about that. But yeah, that does happen all the time when people are moving from one state to another. And some states, it takes forever to get a new driver's license or to get new plates. Like Texas, it took my better half and me many, many months to get Texas driver's licenses. And I think that's still a problem to this day. It's insane. So yeah, that's a nothing burger, in my opinion, the freaking license plate. Because like I said, people are moving from state to state all the time. I guess she moved from Missouri to Minnesota. Okay, big freaking deal. But she still didn't deserve to be killed over what happened Wednesday morning, January 7th, in Minneapolis. But I hope there's a full investigation. And if it turns out that the police, the ICE agent is, guilty, then I hope that he serves. I hope he's punished for it. I hope he, is sent away behind bars. I hope there's no retaliation. Now that's my big concern before I wrap up. I hope that we don't see any sort of retaliation against ICE agents. That is my fear. The moment I heard about this, that was my concern, is that, oh no, this could be like the shot across the bow, where blood has been spilled. They drew first blood, just like in, First Blood with the first Rambo movie. And that's my fear right now, is that ICE agents could be targeted. And here's the thing, not all ICE agents are like this one dude. I'm sure a lot of them are, but there's probably others that are a lot more civil and more agreeable. But I do think that this is a prime example of ICE going too far and stepping beyond their bounds. Because once again, this was not their jurisdiction. What they should have done is they should have coordinated with the Minneapolis Police Department if she was going to be difficult. First try to de-escalate the situation yourself, not run up on her all aggro like they did. But if push comes to shove, if you're at a stalemate, then call the police and have the local police deal with it, because it's their fucking jurisdiction, not yours. That's all I'm going to say about that. But once again, despite all this, this tragedy, I am still against illegal immigration. But I feel like there's unfortunately numerous examples over the past year of ICE going a little too far, and they definitely crossed the line this time.